So very good morning to one and all children. Good morning. So welcome to the e-learning class. Today we are going to discuss about intermediate first year economics. Intermediate first year economics, first chapter, introduction to economics. In my previous lesson I explained you about the wealth definition. Remaining about the welfare definition, growth definition and scarcity definition. For that I'll take the special Zoom classes children for you. So now the very important topic from this lesson is micro and the macroeconomics. Okay, microeconomics and the macroeconomics. Today we have to discuss in this class. So traditionally the subject matter of economics. Traditionally the subject matter of economics, because there are two ways are there. Traditionally the subject matter of economics was divided into 5 parts children. What are those 5 parts? That is consumption, production, exchange, distribution and public finance. Traditionally, economics, the matter of economics was divided into 5 different parts. That was consumption, production, exchange, distribution and public finance. Then, in modern times, economics divided into 2 types. In modern times, economics divided into 2 types. That is microeconomics and macroeconomics. In the modern times, economics get divided into 2 types, microeconomics and the macroeconomics. So, today we have to discuss about micro and macro. Okay, so who was the first person who laid down the word micro and the macro? The person was Ragnar Frisk. Ragnar Frisk of Oslo University. Ragnar Frisk of Oslo University in the year 1933, for the first time he explained macro and macroeconomics in the study of economics. Who explained? Ragnar Frisk explained in his study of economics in the year 1933 for the first time the word microeconomics and macroeconomics. Okay, so I think this is clear. Traditionally, economics was divided into 5 parts, and in the modern times, economics get divided into 2, that is microeconomics and the macroeconomics. So let us discuss about one by one what is micro and what is macro. Okay, so first we'll start with microeconomics. Okay, so the term micro is derived, means is taken from the Greek word micros, means small. So what we understand children by this one, that this is a microeconomics that studies about the small individual units. It studies about the small individual units. So we can also say as, so this is the microeconomics. It studies about the decision making units. We can say as decision making units, or we can also say as the individual units in particular. When it comes to the definition of microeconomics, what is the definition of microeconomics? So microeconomics is economics that studies about individual units. Studies about individual units. What are that individual units? Individual units like household, firms and industries. Household, firms and industries. So it studies about the individual units of household, firms and industries. So this is about microeconomics. Then, who was a person who was very closely associated with microeconomics? The person was Alfred Marshall. The person was Alfred Marshall. So Alfred Marshall was very closely associated with microeconomics. This person, he popularized microeconomics. Alfred Marshall popularized microeconomics. So what he mentioned that microeconomics is based on the assumption of about the full employment and marginal analysis. Okay, I hope this is clear to all of you. The word micro is derived from the Greek word micro, which means small. It studies about individual units. Studies about individual units means, children, it studies about only one firm. It studies about industry. It studies about household. That means it is not studying about total country. It is not studying about everyone. It is just studying about individual, small individual household units, like firms, like industries. Is it clear? So, Alfred Marshall, this was a person who popularized this microeconomics. So, this microeconomics is, now we are going to discuss about the concept of microeconomics. So, this microeconomics, it is the scope. It is divided into three fields. Microeconomics, it gets divided into three fields. What are the three fields of microeconomics? That is, the three fields are theory of product pricing, the theory of product pricing. Next one, theory of factor pricing. And the last theory is theory of welfare. Theory of welfare. Microeconomics, it is divided into three scopes, children. That is theory of product pricing, theory of factor pricing and theory of welfare. Theory of product pricing. Product pricing. How we keep the price of the product. That's what I said, that it deals with just only the small one particular individual industries, children. Suppose if I am the industrialist, I have to follow the theory of product pricing. When I prepared my own products, so how I keep the price, the cost of that product based on the demand of that particular product in the market. Okay, based on the demand of the particular product in the market and how much amount I spend, children, in the production of that good, that product. So definitely I want to take it back. That means my cost of production, also based on the cost of production, that how much I paid to the labor, for the raw material, for the industries, machines, transportation, everything. So when I'm spending such amount of money for the production, so when I'm ready to sell my product in the market, what I want, I should get back all those money where I invested. Okay, so that is only the theory of product pricing. Okay, children, these are nothing but our complete first year textbooks we find in microeconomics only. Second year textbook, it is related to macroeconomics. So microeconomics theory of product pricing, it depends. So it explains about, again it gets divided into two. What are the two, children? That is theory of demand. It depends on theory of demand. Okay, first one is theory of demand, based on the demand. And then the theory of production and cost. The theory of production and cost. That means just now I said, no, children, how much money I spent for the production of one product, I should get at least that money by selling my product. Okay, so the cost of any product, the cost of any product, the price of any product depends on the demand of that product and also depends upon the cost of production. So this is the theory of product pricing. Okay. Then now what is the second one? Theory of factor pricing. Factors. Theory of factor pricing. So what are the theory of factor pricing? Factors. Children, in your 10th class, already you learned in I think the third chapter, that is production and employment development. The third chapter is like that. So in that one, children, production chapter, production and employment, we discussed about the 4 factors of production. You learned that these factors are very important for any production. That is called as land, labor, capital and organization. So the 4 factors that are helpful. Suppose if you are a farmer, you want to cultivate your land, you want to cultivate the crop. So definitely you are in need of land first. Second, to work on that land, you are in need of labor. You are in need of all the tools and implements, and also you are in need of some investment, capital, and then profit. That is the organization. That means the person who is managing all these one. So there are 4 factors of production are there that comes under factor pricing. Okay. So what are those 4 factors, children? Land, labor, capital and organization. Land, labor, capital and organization. Land. After doing the work, suppose if I am the farmer, if I am the person who is going to cultivate the land, but I am not having my land, so I'll take the land on rent. Okay. So after, as soon as I complete my work, what I have to pay, children, to the land? I have to pay rent. If I am the industrialist and I am hiring a building on rent for my work. Okay. So after every month, what I have to do? I have to pay the rent of that building. Next one, labor. Laborers are working, but what you are paying to the laborers? You are paying salaries, that we call as wages. Then you have to purchase machinery. Okay, so machinery, but you are not having money. What you are doing? You are taking loan from the bank. You are taking loan from the bank. So when you take the loan, what you repay to the bank? You repay interest. Okay, and the person who is organizing everything, what he gets, children? He gets profits or loss. So this we call as factor pricing. That means price that we are paying to the 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital and organization. To them we are paying rent, wages means salaries, interest and the profits. Next, theory of welfare. So this economics, it also explains about the theory of welfare. That means whatever we are earning, children, it should be benefit for the society. The theory explains about that earning should be benefit for the society also. So these are all called as the scope of microeconomics. This is very important question, children. Micro and macro are very important question. Is it clear? So this microeconomics is also called as price theory. It is also called as price theory. Why? Because here just now what we find? Prices. Here we find prices. So this is also called as price theory. Is it clear, children? So now about the importance of microeconomics we have to discuss. I hope it is very clear to all of you. So now we have to discuss about the importance of microeconomics. So there are many importance are there, children, for the microeconomics. Now these are all about the importance of microeconomics. How microeconomics is useful for the country and for the economy we have to discuss. So microeconomics. Microeconomics, it explains how a free economy works to decide allocation of resources. Children, allocation of resources like how we can use these resources in the country. So this is an economics that explains about how a free economy works to decide the allocation, because it deals with the individual units, not with the whole country, just with the individual units. So it decides that which unit gets how much of the resources. Okay, so this economics help us to decide how much of the resources is useful by the individual units. Second one, the analysis of microeconomics is useful to the government to frame the policies for the efficient use of scarce resources. So when in the microeconomics, we find that the household units, they do the work. That means they take the the demand, the raw materials, that supply the products also. So in this way, what happened? The government comes to know that how much of the resources are left in the country for the production purposes. How much of the resources are there, and how we are able to use those resources, because all the resources are not abundantly, children, for us. It's not more. So some of the resources are very less, limited resources are there. So government tries to frame the policies that how to use that limited resources for the development purpose, because by the using of this household industries, government understands about what is the requirement of these industries and how much of the resources they are in need, what is the resource are scarce, and with the available resource, how can we develop our country. Okay. Third one, this microeconomics, it suggests the required changes to bring maximum social welfare. What does it mean? This microeconomics, it is helpful because what is the, children? Theory of pricing, product pricing, theory of factor pricing. In the theory of factor pricing, labor is coming. So this theory is helpful to us to bring the maximum social welfare. If labor is getting less salary in comparing to the profit, then this theory explains us, no, according to the profit, the salary of the labor also to be increased. Maximum social welfare, society benefit for it works, children. Then this analysis of microeconomics, it is applicable in the fields of international trade also, children. Exports and imports. Exports and imports depends on the availability of resource, especially exports, children. Our exports depends on the availability of resource. Our imports also depends on the availability of resource. If we are having more resource, we are producing more and we sell it to the other country and we can get the profit. If we are having less resource, we have to get those products from the international products, that is imported products, but in that exchange we have to pay money to that particular country. We are in loss in that case. And this is clear-cut information to us. It is given by the microeconomics. It helps us to explain about the exchange policies, and not only that, it helps us to explain about how we can maintain our international trade. So this is, children, the importance of microeconomics. So after the microeconomics, children, we have to discuss the next section of the economics, that is macroeconomics. What we have to discuss, children? We have to discuss about macroeconomics. So what is macroeconomics, children? That we have to discuss now. So topic is macro. So this macro, the word macro is derived from the Greek word macro, means large. It means large. This word is derived from the word macro. It means large, children. So the person who is closely associated with macroeconomics is J.M. Keynes. The person who is closely associated with macroeconomics is J.M. Keynes, children. So macroeconomics is also known as theory of income and employment, or we can also say as income and employment theory. Income and employment theory. What was the theory that was called for micro? It was price theory. But this is a theory, it is called as income and employment theory. Okay, children. So, macroeconomics. What is the definition for the macroeconomics? Macroeconomics definition. This is an economics that studies. This is the economics that studies, or we can also say as it's a study of aggregates. It is a study of aggregates. Aggregate means total. It's a study of aggregate. That means what aggregate, children? Aggregate like it studies about national income. Macroeconomics, it studies about national income. Macroeconomics, it studies about total consumption. Total consumption. It studies about the total consumption. Then it studies about the total saving and total employment. Total saving and total employment. So this is about macroeconomics. So it studies completely about from where we are going to get our national income of the country, about the total utilization or total consumption, total saving and the total employment. That means overall, now it studies about the country. Micro for small individual units, but this is large for whole country. So I hope it is clear what is macroeconomics. So is it clear, children, about the definition? Now, after the definition, children, J.M. Keynes. Where J.M. Keynes, he mentioned about the macroeconomics. So, J.M. Keynes, in the year 1936, in his book by the name, The General Theory of Employment, General Theory of Employment, General Theory of Employment and income, employment, income and money. In his book, in the General Theory of Employment, Income and Money, J.M. Keynes, he explained and later he popularized this macroeconomics, children. Okay, so what does it discuss, children? It discusses about the total employment. It discusses about the total income of the country. It discusses about the total money. Okay, the money, the loss or the profits of the country. That is in the macroeconomics. That means we can also say as this macroeconomics, it deals with, children, all about the general price and the fluctuations in the price. Price levels of the country, fluctuation is ups and downs. Sometimes the price increase, sometimes the price decrease. So this macroeconomics, it studies, children, about the price level and its fluctuations. What do you mean by fluctuations, children? Fluctuations means ups and downs. Fluctuations. Okay? Fluctuations of the price. Okay? It discusses about the increase or decrease of the price. Reason for the increase or decrease of the price. Now, children, one new word we have to learn. Price rise, called as inflation. What is inflation? Increase in the price we call as inflation. It also studies about inflation. Okay. So, after this one now, we have to discuss, children, the scope of macroeconomics. We have to discuss about, because this is a very big one, it deals with the whole country, children. So, we have to discuss now about the scope of macroeconomics. So, what is the scope of macroeconomics, children? So, the first one, theory of income. Theory of income. The first scope is theory of income and employment. Theory of income and employment is the first scope of macroeconomics. Second one, theory of general price level. Theory of general price level. Second one, second scope. Third one, theory of economic growth. Theory of economic growth is the third one. Theory of macro distribution. Theory of macro distribution And the last one is, that is the theory of business cycle. Theory of business cycles. So this is, children, all about the scope of macroeconomics. So what we find? Theory of income and employment. This is the macroeconomics that explains us about theory of income and theory of employment. Theory of income and employment. In this one, we find that it is again divided into theory of consumption and theory of investment. That is theory of investment. Theory of consumption and theory of investment. Theory of investment. Is it clear, children? That means completely about explains about how we are consuming the products, where we are investing, what are the sources of employment. Second one, it deals with all the price level, just now I said you children, inflation and the fluctuations, increase and decrease of prices. Then economic growth, how much we are producing, what is an output of the country. It deals with not with single but with the whole country. What is the total growth, total product of the country. Then macro distribution. That time what we discussed, land, labor, capital, organization. Okay, so it deals with a large distribution. And then about the business cycles. Okay, so this we call as the scope of macroeconomics. So I hope the scope is clear to all of you. So after the scope, what is the next one, children, we have to discuss? The topic is importance of macroeconomics. So next topic, children, is importance of macroeconomics. Okay, so we have to discuss now importance. So children, now these are all the importance of macroeconomics. Why the macroeconomics is very important for us. So macroeconomics is useful to the government for formulation of policies. Which kind of policies, children, the government want to formulate? That, as already I told you, that it deals with completely aggregates, total income of the country, total production of the country, total distribution of the country, followed by all the exchange also of the country. So it is helpful for the government to frame the policies according to the analysis of macroeconomics. What is good, what is bad. Clear picture will be given by the macroeconomics, and according to that, government frame the policies for the development of country. Second one, it suggests how developing countries can use their resources. India is a developing country. Developing country means the country that is not totally backward, not developed. It is in middle. So it is helpful to us, it is helpful, children, it suggests that how we can use our available resources properly. As already I told you, resources are limited. So it explains about how the resources are useful to us, how efficiently we can use the resources. Followed by, it helps to understand the problem of unemployment and inflation, because it studies total. It explains about complete employment. So it explains about the problem, why there is a problem of unemployment there in the country, reason for unemployment, causes of unemployment, and what is the solution for this unemployment. This also we can come, children, from the macroeconomics. Followed by inflation. What is inflation? Increase in price. So it helps us to understand why this prices are going on increasing in the country. What is the reason behind the increase in price, and what is the solution that we comes to know from the macroeconomics. And at last, this study of macroeconomics, it helps us to evaluate overall function of economy. Overall function like our trade, international trade. It helps us to understand about the international trade, our exchange rates, overall growth, overall development, where the government has to focus to improve the economy level. So all this one we can come to know from the macroeconomics. So children, I hope that today's class is clear to all of you. That is micro and macroeconomics. Compulsory 5 marks questions are allotted, children, for this question, children. And you may get, children, either you have to write it down this one, or you will be asked to write distinguish. That means difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Okay, microeconomics and macroeconomics. So all whatever the points I gave, it is helpful to you. Okay, so what is your work? Your work, first year students, your work is go through the textbook, read the textbook. When textbook is given to you, read the textbook, underline the important concepts, then write down the important points. After watching this video, write down the important points and try to understand it. Okay, so now in the next class, we'll discuss. In the next class, we'll discuss again from the first lesson only about the utility, about the wants we have to discuss, about the goods we have to discuss, types of goods we have to discuss. So till then, it's a time to take leave, children. Prepare well, read well, prepare your notes well. So thank you one and all. Thank you, children. Thank you.